Hello and welcome to a discussion about the upcoming Zelda movie. I'm Phil.
And I am Vicky.
And we originally had this discussion on a stream on twitch.tv/ABK Studios. Our first stream.
And it was such a good stream, too. Such a good chat, wasn't it?
It was such a good conversation, but unfortunately I don't know if it's my computer having issues or just out-of-date software, because it was the first stream that we've done in about 2 years, but the footage was just
oh, it's terrible. Just no.
Yeah,
just
glitchy
boom.
and corrupted. And
it can't be helped.
It can't be helped. If you want to catch the streams when they're live and not glitchy and corrupted, you can follow us on twitch.tv/ABK Studios.
Please do.
And actually, in the future, if we have streams like that, the recordings are good, they'll be going up on the YouTube channel ABK Archive, which is where
absolutely,
where our banjo-kazooie streams are living now.
Yeah, if this stream had been successful, you guys would be seeing this direct, but it can't be helped. Technical difficulties, all that sort of stuff. So we thought we'd bring it back to you. We thought we'd bring you what we chatted about, because it was good stuff.
Yeah, it's only good stuff on ABK Studios.
Always good stuff. All the good stuff.
Anyway, so we were talking about the fact that Miyamoto popped onto Twitter the other day, or X as it's now called.
Stupid name.
It is a stupid name. To announce that he was working on a Zelda movie with Sony
Yay.
and Avi Arad, who is big Avi.
Yes,
big
Zelda movie.
Oh, I thought you were just like a big Avi Arad fan. Like, yeah, I liked all the Spider-Man films, including the ones that didn't do well.
Nah, it was for the fact that they finally in discussions of making a Zelda movie. How long have we waited? Like forever.
We have. Yes, well, it all started back with that April Fool's Day joke that IGN did, which, I don't know, does this show our age that we kind of remember when that came out still? Because it's like one of those really...
Yeah, I think it does a bit.
Really early internet things, because it like had good production qualities, and like it was back when April Fool's Day was like quite a fun thing on the internet, because those kind of really weird and wacky kind of jokes came out. But ever since then, I think everyone's just said like, where is the Zelda movie? I mean, well, at the peak of the MCU, which I hope no one takes difference to me saying the peak is a past tense thing. People were even talking about like a Smash Bros movie where you kind of establish all the characters in their own films.
Well, it does feel like with the success of the Mario movie and potentially, hopefully, the success of the Legend of Zelda movie, then that might be a progression rather than have the Smash Brothers movie as a first movie to introduce everyone get introduced individually and then come together, a bit like the original Marvels. Now, if you don't agree with us with the original Marvels and the hype and the success talking past tense, please put your comments below. We'd love to hear from them. It's just a personal viewpoint from me and Phil.
Yeah, as much as people enjoy dunking on Marvel nowadays for X, Y, or Z, the time was like it was this incredible, you know, that first Avengers movie was mind-blowing, and you know.
Oh, it was outstanding. That the fact that Iron Man came and he like exploded the way he did. And how they built it all together. Now, these days, when it comes to the Marvel Universe, I know it's a slight detour but when it comes to the Marvel Universe, it feels like you have to watch all the series just to watch a film, which isn't really my cup of tea. So, but we are digressing a bit. Let's move back to the Legend of Zelda and the fact that we have been waiting for a while to have a Legend of Zelda TV series, film, whatever. We did discuss in our previous video about what main storyline from the Legend of Zelda series that they might choose to follow. Now, the most famous, personally, the most famous is, of course, Ocarina of Time, but I'm not sure. It's a difficult one, because I do see that as potentially more successful as a TV series, just because of how, you know, you start off as young Link, you go into older Link, there's certain stages, there's certain temples. I really enjoy all the manga work that they've done for The Legend of Zelda, and if you have not checked it out, and you are a Zelda fan, I'd definitely check it out. It is a very nice way to read the Zelda storylines without playing the games. But if you think about that and the way it could be translated into a movie or TV series, that would probably be the easiest way, because they've already sorted out certain bits that you cover through gameplay, like temples and whatnot, and they've balanced it out with storyline instead that's not actually in the gameplay, to fill out those bits but that are missing storyline that you really need to bulk up a TV series or a film. When it comes to Ocarina of Time, I don't know. What do you think, Phil? Film or TV series? Because we know they're making a film, but what do you think it'd be better suited as?
So it's interesting that you mentioned Ocarina of Time, and as well the manga, because the manga was split in two, like Kid Link and Adult Link, and obviously the main hurdle with Ocarina of Time is that you kind of you either have to have two actors playing the same character, which is done. It's frequently done. And you don't have to worry about them aging out, because in Sex Education they're all in their 30s by the time of the final season, and they can still make them look like they're teenagers. But that is kind of like a big thing, is would you have a different child Link or adult Link, or would you have a show where he is able to age into it by maybe having him be a older young Link and then a young older Link? So you kind of take into account the natural way that a young actor would grow during production. Obviously then you can go back in time like they do in the games, but it might be more sensible story-wise to not have a lot of the time jumping, because that's where possibly it might confuse people.
Well, say if you think of storyline basis, imagine if you start off the film with older Link, he's fighting off whoever, and he has flashbacks from when he was younger and how he got to the stage where he was. For that, I think it'd be better to have a TV series, because then you could do a lot of cliffhangers, you could do a lot of callbacks. Or if they are going to do a film, if they do start from a younger Link, where is the end of the film? Is it going to be a two-parter? Do they cut off the film as he emerges as an adult after being frozen in time before he talks to the sages? Because that's where the cutoff is in the manga. I do think the manga is going to be helpful to a degree in thinking about where the cutoff bit is and how it all links together. If you think from a game perspective into a storyline perspective into a film/TV show perspective. But if they do Ocarina of Time, it's just going to be very interesting, and think of all the main characters and who might act those out.
I mean, Zelda as a franchise could be very similar to franchises like James Bond, where if you ended up making multiple, there is actually no reason in the law why you have to keep the same actor on as Link.
Ooh.
In fact, yeah, I would make the Doctor Who comparison, given it's just been the 60th anniversary, but obviously that is the same character, whereas all the Links are different. So you don't have to commit to... You could make a film about Ocarina and then follow up with a film about Twilight Princess and just have a different actor playing Link and not have to really worry too much. The people who make the games don't worry about the timeline.
I do like that idea, and the fact that these three are connected. It's not the fact that they are the same person that connects them, it's the fact that these Triforces power connects them. So whoever plays Zelda, whoever plays Ganon, whoever plays Link, it's the main draw is the fact that they are connected forever. It doesn't necessarily... I like the idea of not having the same actor. However, I do feel that if it was an Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask sort of element, then Majora's Mask kind of has to have the same kid actor, if Ocarina does have a kid actor, as in Majora's Mask, just because that is a follow-on. I feel that if there is a connection, if it is a follow-on, which they don't do that very often in the Zelda franchise, they do need to honour the fact that it is the same actors and actresses. But the only one they'd have to worry about in that respect is Link, because of course Ganon and Zelda do not appear in the Majora's Mask storyline.
But also, it's I think it's going to be more driven by how successful a film is, because obviously if a film's successful, they'll try and retain the actors and things like that, because they'll see that as part of the reason it's successful and what will sell a sequel. So I think, if an Ocarina film was not successful, you could see them jumping straight to Wind Waker or something to try and...
Oh, absolutely. Or like Twilight.
But it does give lots of options, and you say on Majora's Mask, that would also kind of inherently need that you had a separate actor for adult Link, because in Majora's Mask, Link is older, like he's still a kid, but he's a bigger kid, like he's taller and he's more athletic or whatever. But that kind of would naturally follow on from like a child actor playing Link in Ocarina of Time to a child actor going on to a sequel by themselves. It might also help to, if they're a really reasonably new actor, might help that they've got kind of maybe a big name star playing their adult version in the first one, and then that kind of gets people to see the first one, and then the second one they can maybe carry it more by themselves. Although the average cinema goer who does not know anything about the Zelda games will just be asking where the famous person is.
The problem is with the Zelda universe is the problem with every new franchise. When you are making a film, if you think of the Golden Compass, if you think of anything that is introducing, or if you're thinking of World of Warcraft, when that was made into a film, when you are introducing a new concept to the general public and to fans, you have a very, very thin line between over explaining stuff that new people would understand and over explaining stuff that would piss off die-hard fans, and still being engaging enough for die-hard fans without losing the new audience. It's a very difficult one. Now, I think they towed that line perfectly with the Mario universe, but Mario games are very much standalone. They're very much, the storyline is very, very basic. There is Mario, he has a brother, he goes and saves the princess. Now, that is a very easy concept to open into the world of films, whereas I think Zelda, the Legend of Zelda concept is a lot more complicated, mainly because even though the gameplay stays the same, which is something that you do not concern yourself with a film or TV series, the storylines are so much more diverse, and some of it I just think will be better in an animated concept. And they have said for this new film that they were thinking of doing live action.
I think that's what they said.
There's certain storylines I just think will suit a live action storyline more than an animated, or more better than certain other ones. For example, Wind Waker, I can't really picture that as a live action concept. Maybe because it is overly cartoony in the gameplay, whereas Twilight Princess, I can actually picture that as a live action concept.
Yes, and well, there's a few points there. One is, I think as well, that we can say they're probably targeting live action. I can't actually remember whether it was in his original information, but if it was animated, you'd expect they'd stay working with Illumination, who made the Mario movie, because that movie made $1 billion.
And it was such a successful cooperation. I mean, Illumination did a very good job with the Mario movie, and the fact that they managed to get some really top-notch names to voice over certain very main cast characters. I think it was a very successful job and very well done. I actually loved the Mario movie. The only critique I have is the fact that the music, you said that they created original Mario soundtrack for all of it, and there was a discussion, and that's where they got in some of the more quote-unquote modern day music in for half and half, because at one point they weren't even going to include the more Mario based music, and I personally loved the Mario based music because that was the whole point. Diversion. Back to the topic.
No, I was just thinking, maybe it's a good thing because we're not going to get like Link doing a training montage that I need a hero.
That is very true, but you might have a fighting montage to It's My Life or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
That it all depends which story they choose. The story they choose of The Legend of Zelda will really baseline what it is, but they won't have the music montages like they did in the Mario movie if they're doing a live action, because hopefully a live action would be a lot more serious and won't need that music element.
I think maybe the good comparison to look at would be maybe the Uncharted film, which is a video game.
Oh, yes.
Because that was produced by Avi Arad, who's going to be producing the Zelda movie. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of the Uncharted film because I thought it was very generic in places.
But then isn't that balance between a movie like
So, you
what I
want
was saying, yeah.
that's it. Maybe that was what they focus tested it, and actually people responded best to was kind of a more basic action movie than anything too out there. I mean, obviously they have that bit where they're flying a pirate ship through the cliffs, which feels very video game. But I think maybe we can look at that as possibly what they'll be following when they're designing this movie. What with Sony is, I reckon we'll probably get an original story, but I reckon it will overlap a lot of it will overlap all the popular stuff about Zelda. There'll be a musical instrument in it. There'll be some of the more adult like themes and like costume designs from like Twilight Princess. There will be healthy reference to Breath of the Wild and like the glider and some of the mechanics in that. I think Breath of the Wild, I don't think I could see it being a movie. I could see the preamble bit being a movie, the stuff that they covered in Hyrule Warriors, because that as a game had a big ensemble cast and it was very cutscene heavy. But then also, if I wanted to see that story, I would just play that game because it's very cutscene heavy.
Also, that game relies on quite a few characters that come from different Zelda franchises to a degree. So I feel that would be a good one down the line if they wanted to do a collective for the Zelda franchise, because it has Midna in it, it has characters from Ocarina in it, it has characters from Wind Waker in it. It is very much a collective.
But that's what I kind of mean, is that it's like it's pulling in all the popular bits into one package, the same way that a movie might do in order to try and hit the most beats. It might be an original story that gives you a new version of Link, a new version of Zelda, and they're like, oh hey, actually we want to have Darunia in this one, so we're just going to have a leader Goron, call him Darunio, as a nod to the games. And they're just going to kind of take what they want from each game, is kind of my point, which is much like Hyrule Warriors does.
Yeah, but I am getting the point that you're putting down, but my critique of that is the fact that they still need to introduce those characters.
Yeah.
And it'd be so much easier to know the background of those characters if they're coming from movies, like, generically, that, if they manage to get a collective of Legend of Zelda movies. But I
think we've learned from enough heist movies that we don't actually need to introduce a full set of characters. What you do is you just have a scene where like Darunia is like smashing rocks with a Megaton hammer, and Link rides up on the horse, and he goes, "Ah, shit, what was it? You son of a bitch, I'm in." And like Link's just riding around like getting his crew together for a heist.
And there's Impa. And she's just like, I don't know, reading like a Sheikah scroll. But she looks up and she just like hands up her hand and it's got like a bunch of knives in there ready to throw. And she's just like, I'm in.
I told you I was retired.
You can't bring me back. Okay, for the right price you can. How many rupees are we talking here? I just think Ocarina of Time, out of all of them, is the simplest sort of storyline that would be good for an audience that does not know Legend of Zelda. But people can critique that Twilight Princess is basically Ocarina to a degree, and the fact that you would have a consistent age of Link throughout all of it. You wouldn't have to worry about younger and older Link.
Yeah.
It's just going to be very interesting which way they take it. Now, if we think about who's going to play those characters, we have already obviously discussed certain actors that we've had in mind. The biggest one that I think that comes to mind when it comes to Link is Timothy Chalamet, which of course is the guy from Dune.
He's about to play Willy Wonka.
Just because he played Willy Wonka. I just think his features are very soft and very elf-like, which of course is an element that Link has with the pointy ears, the blonde hair. But I remember when we discussed this last time, you said about that actor who was from King Arthur, who just doesn't seem to age. He was also from The Maze Runner.
Oh yes, I'm going to have to look up his name again. But just on Timothy Chalamet, he is also a massive gamer.
So he'd appreciate that, wouldn't he? Being part of a gaming... Well, personally, I think a gaming legacy, like a gaming... I do like the fact when you have gaming films and gaming franchises like this. Like, you have people like Henry Cavill, who absolutely loves the Witcher games and knows about Geralt, and he knows about the characteristics, and he knows about the world. I think it makes it so much better because the actor then fully commits to being that character. So the fact that Timothée Chalamet is a gamer just makes him even more ideal in my eyes.
Well, quite famously, he had a YouTube channel. It's gone now, but he used to do modding of Xbox 360 controllers on YouTube. That was like before he was an actor.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
The person that you were referring to, and I do agree actually, is Thomas Sangster. He's
ageless.
Yeah.
That guy, I've seen him in so much stuff, and I swear he hasn't aged in like 20 years. It's
he
great.
was in Doctor
But
Who.
he
Was in Merlin.
Queen's Gambit. Merlin, Queen's Gambit.
Star Wars, very briefly.
I just think he's got the right features for a Link character, for a Link actor. I think you're looking for quite a slim build, elf-like features. Obviously, the blonde hair does not matter because you can just dye that hair blonde. How about the guy who played Malfoy?
Oh, I think he might have aged out of it now. I know who you mean.
Yeah, be a bit older. A bit too old. Because you do need those timeless sort of actors, the ones who can still play teenagers or early 20s when they're actually nearly 40.
You're talking about Tom Felton, who plays Draco Malfoy, yeah.
He might have too many wrinkles now. But I just think he has this right sort of cheekiness, mannerism, stuff like that to get away with the Link character. And if you think of the Twilight Princess storyline, then you want someone who's pretty carefree, pretty into the village life, and like just with like a foreboding, mysterious past.
I think he'd be maybe better as like a supporting kind of mentor character, because he is a great actor. I just think maybe he is aged out of being Link.
The main role, that's fair. How about Zelda?
Zelda, well, it's funny that the first name that we both came up with, we are kind of overlapping with the Mario movie, because we were both saying Anya Taylor-Joy. But she would be double dipping in the Nintendo movies, so I don't think they would do that.
And I just don't think that would be allowed, yeah. But it's not because of her voice acting skills, which of course was why she got the Peach role. If you think about her body type, the way she looks, her mannerisms, it very much screams to me a Princess Zelda, like the strong woman, but like a smaller build with the facial features. Put some pointy ears on that chick and the right wig, and I think she'd make amazing Zelda. But as you said, I don't think they're going to double dip when it comes to the Nintendo universe.
Yeah.
Anyone else come to mind?
We talked about Zendaya as well, didn't we?
Oh, we did. I do like Zendaya.
Yeah.
I think she's an amazing actress. Again, she's the right look for the right character. I mean, that can be challenged. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but I've recently watched The Last of Us on DVD.
Yeah.
Obviously from the HBO series. Now, both the two main characters in that.
Well, it's Pedro Pascal in that.
Yeah. Now, Pedro Pascal does an amazing role as Joel. He makes the mannerisms of Joel to a T. I think he takes that character, reads up and experiments with who that character is, and takes on the embodiment of that character. But I still argue in my head that he does not look like Joel.
Yeah.
Like, that is such a small detail when he does such an amazing job and he takes on the characteristics so well. I'm really glad he is Joel, but he does not look like Joel. He is not 6 foot. He is not your typical Joel character from the game. So if the main Link and the main Zelda of the film do not look immediately like that, I do not mind, as long as the actors portraying them portray the complete characteristics of those characters. Same with Ellie. I think they were both very well cast and they both take on the characteristics, but neither of them look like the characters.
But I think Zelda's got more freedom in that department because, like we said, it's lots of Links, lots of Zeldas. There is nothing to say. There is, even if you're doing the story from one of those games, you don't have to. You could just say this is a Link and a Zelda, because the story won't be a one-to-one conversion either.
No. So
that's it. I think you've got a lot more freedom because there is no definitive. And you just have to look at Zelda even as a character, like how she looks in Skyward Sword compared to how she looks in Twilight Princess is night and day. She's blonde in Skyward Sword, and she's like younger and like wears like the brighter colours and stuff, and she's like quite tall and pale and stoic in Twilight Princess. Just depends on the role she plays in the story as well.
It really does, and it depends which way that they take it. Someone that we obviously discussed, we'll stick with the main cast for now. So Ganondorf, we discussed 2 actors that came to mind. For me, it was Idris Elba. I thought having him as a main bad guy, as a main entity, because Ganondorf's, the whole drill of Ganondorf is that he has the power, he's the overwhelming presence. He's been like in the desert with a bunch of like he's grown up from nothing into something. He's a struggler. Now I have no qualms with whatever actor or actress they choose. I really enjoy the fact that even though and I'm now talking about the Sandman Netflix series, that one of the main characters in that is obviously in the graphic novels is portrayed as a white woman and is portrayed as an African American woman in the TV series. Now that actress does an amazing job as Death, the character. So I am fully up for whoever they choose. My main thing is whoever they choose, regardless of gender, racial identity or whatever, is that as long as they embody the character and do a good job in their role.
Yeah. No, I think that's true. I think obviously in certain, well, Hylian races as a whole are all made up, but as a, you get all ethnicities, I think, even in the more recent games. So I think the casting should just be whoever's right for it. You just have to look at I don't think you've seen any of this year's Doctor Who specials yet, but you just have to look. Ncuti Gatwa's had 5 minutes as the Doctor, and you buy him as the Doctor. Like, he is so good, and he's Nigerian Scottish, compared to obviously what's always been before him. Aside from during the Jodie Whittaker era, there was the Fugitive Doctor. It's always been a very white role. But then Jodie Whittaker herself, being the first woman to play the Doctor, did a great job. So I don't think it needs to be one way or the other. And actually, in Zelda, it's not always been that way. Like, if we talk about A Link Between Worlds, that featured the female Ganondorf.
It did, yeah.
Yuga.
That's one that we haven't really... That would be a very easy standalone sort of Zelda to do a film on, I think, because that's a very nicely based story, very easy to follow.
I think that would make a good sequel.
Very easy to explore.
On any game, that would make a good sequel, because you're kind of introducing Lorule, and then you have like Ravio and Hilda and Yuga kind of get introduced as your opposites. Because if like in your first film you've had Ganondorf, you then have this kind of
I suppose
image.
In your first film you do need to have Ganondorf, Zelda and Link. They're your three, they're your Triforce, they're your baseline.
And I think I would do that story differently as well, because there are twists in that story, but I would maybe mix it up so the twists are different. So even if you've played the game, you can get like a different story based on kind of similar themes and concepts.
If we go back to Ganondorf,
Yes.
the second actor that we had in mind, I can't say that.
Sacha Dhawan?
Sacha Dhawan, that's how you pronounce it.
I hope so.
Where's he from?
We're just talking about Doctor Who. He's the most recent actor to play the Master, and he has such a chaotic kind of evil
I remember you
energy.
pointing him out.
And he's very good at like manic and energetic, but he's also so good at cold and calculating.
And that's what I feel that you need with Ganondorf. He needs to have this energy. He needs to have this presence that is very foreboding, very powerful, very not specifically manipulating, but he has taken himself from nothing and got himself in court with the king and everything and taken over Hyrule. He needs to have that kind of presence to him. He needs to have an identity, like a proper, which is something that I think Idris Elba as an actor has. And if you say this guy,
Sacha Dhawan, I think it would depend on
has
how
a good
you're
presence as the master.
doing Ganondorf. If you're going very much with the games where kind of Ganondorf's kind of, he maybe shows up midway through, does something very threatening, but then mostly he's kind of off-screen looking intimidating. I think Idris Elba is like an intimidating person to walk up the stairs of Hyrule Castle when he's sat on a throne. Whereas if you've got someone very proactive in the story, I think Sacha Dhawan's got a lot of energy, a lot of chaos, a lot of malice he can kind of bring to a role where you really believe, like, he really can sell that he's like cold and calculating, going through his schemes and things like that. Yeah, I think, you know, we only have the time today to go through a dusting of the potential actors and actresses that could play these roles.
Yeah, this is fun because this is obviously our interpretation and what we could see. But if you have any suggestions of your own that you think would make a good any of the characters, but obviously mainly Link, Zelda and Ganondorf, please put them in the comments below. Now, I remembered from our chat before about Impa, which of course we haven't covered yet. An actress that I could see embodying. That's the one. The character of Impa is Katie Sackhoff,
yeah.
Which of course is the actress who played Starbuck in the Battlestar Galactica. I think she is an amazing actress. She has that sort of stronger woman presence of like bodyguard, of ninja, of secret society. It all depends how they play it in the film, but I think she'd be an amazing Impa.
Well, she does.
Especially if they're going down the Ocarina of Time sort of storyline.
Well, she does really well in The Mandalorian at the moment.
She does, yeah. And I really enjoyed her. She was in a standalone sci-fi thing in Netflix. I'd have to look that up. Yeah, I just think she does an amazing job in that sort of strong female role. I mean, back in the day, Chickadee from Alien.
Oh, well, I was about to say Ridley Scott, that's the director.
No, not Ridley Scott. I know her.
What's Sigourney Weaver?
Yeah, she would make an amazing Impa, but I think she's kind of aged out of the role as well.
I mean, it depends. Impa is played by, Impa in the games is of all ages.
That is very true, depending on what game you choose. Yeah.
The final one that I had written down, and I think
which is a bit of fun.
It's a bit of fun. Where I think we'll leave things, is for Tingle, there is only one actor I can see playing Tingle to his full full realisation, and that would be our man Danny DeVito. Just because I can imagine him being like, well, I'm a fairy boy as well. I'm going to get my fairy any day now, and he'd be up for wearing the tight spandex.
He'd just be like, he would fully commit. He'd have the tight spandex. He'd be like the attitude of Tingle. He'd just be like doing the dance and the hand movements and be like, oh, he'd love it. But again, has he aged out of the role? I know Tingle is an older man pretending to be a young boy or thinking that he's a young boy. But at the same time, Danny DeVito is older now. I'm not sure if you've seen him in Jumanji, the next level. He was quite older in that.
But then you have to just watch him in Always Sunny, and he's still doing the physical comedy even at his age.
That is good to know. So yeah,
and he can still bring the energy. He's somebody that would come across as a little like maybe out of it, but obviously Tingle is kind of eccentric, and I think Danny DeVito could do it.
That's the whole point of Tingle. Yeah, he's supposed to be eccentric. He's supposed to be fun. He's supposed to be rather annoying. That's the whole thing about Tingle. So, please let us know if you agree with our suggestions, and if you have any suggestions of your own. We'd happily. We really want to hear them, because this has been something that me and Phil has discussed at length, and it's just interesting to see which way they'd take it. Obviously, it depends which main storyline of the Zelda franchise they decide to take the film.
Yeah, so what do you think? Do you think movie is better than TV show? TV show is better than movie? What other TV shows could you see it being like? We haven't had time for it today. But obviously we made comparisons to the likes of The Witcher and Game of Thrones and things like that, depending on what audience you're going for. Who would you cast? Give us your dream casts. Not your dream cast, that is completely different. That's a different thing whatsoever. And yeah, this is going to be really interesting to see how it develops. I can't wait until it's randomly dropped in the middle of a Nintendo Direct, like the cast of the Mario movie.
I'm so excited though. I'm so excited to see which way they take it, which storyline they take it. Even if they do a little bit of a mix for the first one, like say their main storyline part is Ocarina, but they don't stick completely to the Ocarina storyline, I'm cool with that. As long as everything is represented properly and as long as it is very clearly a Zelda film, I'll be happy. I do understand certain things will be dialed down for an audience that does not know the Zelda franchise, which I'm accepting, but it'd just be amazing. And it's something that I think a lot of Zelda fans have been looking forward to. So yeah, very exciting stuff.
Yeah, and we're on X, terrible name, as ABK Studios.
Boom.
We're on twitch.tv as ABK Studios. If you follow us there, you'll get a notification the next time we go live, which probably won't be until next year now. We've got this channel, ABK Studios, where we make Zelda videos, so if you're new, feel free to subscribe. We make silly Zelda videos, we make silly banjo-kazooie videos, we make podcasts like this and discussions and gameplay, and it's a lot of fun. We've also got ABK Arcade, where next year we'll be doing our first Zelda Let's Play at some point. We've got a vote going on at the moment to see which game that will be. And then ABK Archive is where we upload our stream archives for when we do stream. So if you do miss us live, you can catch the full thing on there. Although if there's particular highlights, we'll probably edit those and put them onto one of the main channels. And that is it. And that is the last video we're probably going to record of 2023. So have a great Christmas, a happy Hanukkah, whichever holidays that you're celebrating this December.
Or if you're not celebrating a holiday at all, just have a great end of year. Thank you very much for joining us, and we wish you all the seasonal greetings that there are. I've been Vicky.
I've been Phil, and there may be another video this year, but as far as we're concerned, we will see you in 2024.
Bye. Laters. Bye.